Great effort has been invested in ensuring that as many Ugandans as possible get access to financial services. It is one thing, though, to have access to financial services, and another to make use of these services or afford them. Today, we try to explore what effort is being done to ensure that as many Ugandans as possible optimize the benefit out of these services. Hello, it's good to have you on the show. Money and Markets, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Charles.
Now, being new in this position, I'm sure a number of our viewers would like to know, what do you have for financial sector deepening Uganda? And, of course, a bit about yourself.
First and foremost, thank you for having me on your show, Charles. My name is Rashmi Pillai, and I'm the new Executive Director of Financial Sector Deepening Uganda. We are a Ugandan company funded by UK Aid and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We exist with one fundamental aim, which is universal financial inclusion, and how can the financial markets serve the need of people and businesses.
Of course, the year is ending. We're coming to the end of the financial year, and end of June, of course, we'll be looking at going into another financial year. What should your key stakeholders expect from you going forward?
Financial inclusion is a complex problem that goes beyond one financial year to the other. We cannot solve financial exclusion or poverty in one fiscal year. But what we can do is be unwavering in our ambition and commitment to eradicate it. So for us at FSDU, we have memorandums of understanding with various regulators, with various ministries. We work with them in helping them achieve the targets that we all collectively set out in the National Financial Inclusion Agenda. We work with the private sector where they are trying to experiment with new business models, products, services. We give them grants, technical assistance to see what really works. What do people want? Let us not sit in the boardrooms and design products and services for people. Let's go to the people and test. And if it doesn't work, we again try and see what works, because we should design for what people want, not the other way around.
I know for the fact that good ground has been covered, in ensuring that as many Ugandans as possible access financial services. Now, are the same services affordable, to as many Ugandans as possible from where you sit?
That's a great question. So last year, FSD Uganda every year does something known as the Financial Inclusion Week. And one of the topics that we spoke about was the gap between access and usage. And when we say usage, we mean that on a 30-day, 90-day transaction activity, do you see people using the accounts? Because there's no point investing in acquisition of clients and then having dormant accounts or dormant wallets. So there is a gap that is obviously found by the FinScope 2018. Now the question then for FSDU and the private sector and other players is, why is there a gap? Is it because people don't find utility in what they are being provided? Is it because we are designing it for our needs and not their needs? Or is it because simply people just don't have enough money? Then how should we be supplying credit and insurance to stimulate economic activity, to enable them to be economically empowered so that they can take advantage of financial services? And these are some of the questions we are grappling with. We don't say we have all the answers, but we are working with the private and public sector to find some solutions.
Now, Uganda is an agro-based economy by virtue of the fact that majority of Ugandans depend on this sector. However, many players in the financial subsector, whether banks or insurance companies, really, are not that enthusiastic about extending services to that space. So what are you doing as, critical stakeholders in this to ensure or to promote, extension of such services to the agriculture sector?
So yes, we are working in very different ways. There are a lot of players in the agriculture sector, and agriculture is very critical and important, especially in terms of a number of people employed in this economy. There are a lot of initiatives when it comes to financial inclusion. There are payment digitization initiatives, so that if Chagalani is giving money to its farmers, and how do you digitize that entire coffee value chain? How do you give credit to the off-takers, so then you can work on that piece of financial inclusion? But I think your question goes more deeper, which is how do you stimulate the sector? And I think that's a bigger ecosystem question. It is not just FSDU can come in, because then you're asking questions on How do we increase yield per acre? How do we reduce the gap between markets and how farmers are side selling at lower prices so that you can have more money per take home for the farmer, and therefore the farmer is able to save more and then buy better seeds or have a better family outcome in terms of education, healthcare. That cannot be just an FSDU effort. That will have to be different types of partners, development partners, and including different types of public sector entities that come together. At FSDU, what we're doing is trying to facilitate and influence all of the actors in one ecosystem and say, let's work together, because we can only solve one part of the puzzle. There are so many parts of the puzzle that we have to work collectively.
Now, let's talk about awareness, understanding, and appreciation of finance services in this market. How would you rate it, as a player in this space? And what can we do as a country to grow, that awareness?
So I'll give a short and then a long answer to that. So the short answer is yes, we are working with multiple ways to ensure greater understanding of the contracts that you enter with the financial provider, right? If you have a bank account, in a way it is a contract. They provide you a service and you have an expectation as a customer for that service, right? The same with credit, insurance, etc. Now, do you understand the nitty-gritties of what those expectations are and the quality of that expectation? And if that quality deteriorates, what is your recourse as a customer? Who can you go to? Who can you complain to? That is not entirely there. That's not even there with very well-educated people, because most people don't know, in case of a dispute, in case of a recourse, who do I go to? What is my right? So that level of higher awareness is not as much as we would want it to be. Different regulators, in say the Bank of Uganda, UCC, are already taking very proactive measures and say, how do you make some of the terms and conditions of credit, savings, etc. simple for people to understand? What is the guidance around that? How do you get informed consent? Just because I want your product does not mean that I want you to sell my data to 500 other people that I have no clue about. How do you put informed consent data principles there, which says, okay, today this fintech may not exist, but tomorrow if an MNO or a bank wants to sell my data, they have to ask my permission so that I know what is happening. So we're working with them on that. But there is a fundamental challenge that we all need to accept, that the number of adults with secondary and tertiary education in this country is very low. As the world becomes more progressively fintech technology oriented, there will be more and more sophisticated products that come, or products that require you to have a higher financial and other types of literacy. Are we preparing ourselves for the future is a question that we should all be asking. Are we as a country setting aside enough budgets for a better and robust education system? As I mentioned, FSDU can attack one part of the problem, but there is a bigger piece of the pie that we should be having a conversation around.
Thank you very much. It's been nice.
Thank you, Charles.